love how you met Jim. Did you meet on the Gold Coast and he was on a footy trip?
Yeah.
That sentence is so far from who you are, Sam.
That's a bit,
Isn't it?
bad.
You're on the Gold
Embarrassing when
Coast.
people say, "Oh, how did you meet?" You know, they want the big romantic story. It's like, yeah, I picked him up on a footy trip.
I know, I love it.
Yeah, I did. I was up visiting my grandma, and I think, you know, I'd had some tragic breakup at 20, and my life was over because I was so in love, and my parents were like, "Oh God, send her away." So they sent me back up to Cairns, and I was staying with my grandma. I was with girlfriends, and I was meeting a family friend's son who I hadn't seen since we were sort of 12 or 13, and he said, "Meet me in this particular bar." So I didn't know exactly what he was going to look like. I was 7 years on, and I did see Jim across the bar, saw a familiar face, because I think from memory he'd not long won the Brownlow, so I must have just seen his face in images on telly or on the paper because my dad and brother liked football. So and I waved and he waved back, but I thought he was my friend Steve that I was meeting at the bar, like, "Oh, there you are." And then I'm like, "Oh, no,
that's not him.
Not him." Yeah, and by then he'd done the come over here, and over we went and bought us a drink and we got chatting. And I thought he was okay because he knew my older brother because he's a sports photographer, and he'd taken some photos of him around that time. So I thought, oh, he's a nice guy. And yeah, it just went from there, really.
And because he used to tell a story about how you pretty much denied him for ages because you didn't want to be a footballer's wife.
No, look, it just didn't appeal to me. It's like, I think I knew even when I was young, but by going down that track, there was a fair amount of self-sacrifice along with that. You know. It was sort of weird, like just going to different things that, you know, Jim would have been required to go to, and I just knew early on. But then maybe I was probably a bit immature too. I was quite naive. I was really young, and I was a young 20-year-old.
Right.
Like 20-year-olds today, I think they're a lot more mature and life experience. The world's different. So yeah, I was shy. I was a really shy kid too.
Yeah, right.
So I think I found it actually very intimidating.
To date a high-profile footballer.
Yeah.
And because also what you would have to sacrifice to be, because I would imagine that so much of your life was around his training and around his commitments. Like I often look at people who are with elite athletes and think, shit, that's so full on. It's such a commitment from both of you.
Yeah. Look, you know, in some nice ways it did work for me because it enabled me to do my thing. So I think at the time, we sort of, you know, stayed together, broke up, got back together, and by the time we sort of found a solid ground, that was the third time round.
Right.
I was school teaching and I was doing my master's in education. So while he was so busy with all the training and what he was required to do, it actually gave me that time and, you know, space and agency really to do what I wanted to do, and so it worked. And then we'd come together when I sort of had to zip across into his life. But I remember specifically, like, I'm school teaching, the money, it was so bad back then. It was my first job, and, you know, he's like, "Oh, I need you to come to this and that and that." And I don't think my fortnightly wage would cover the frock. You know? It's like, I'm like, "Man, you need to write me a check for $1,000 because I can't keep coming to this stuff. Like, that's my whole wage for 2 weeks. I can't afford to buy all these clothes." And, you know, so that was sort of funny. So we'd begrudgingly, back in the day where you gave a personal check, you know.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
Because you did do your masters. You are super educated and have so much going on for yourself. Did you ever struggle being known sometimes as just Jim Stynes' wife? Which I don't know how to word that without it. But I mean, you know, obviously it was an honour and beautiful. But sometimes when you've got so much going on and you're known more as something else, did that ever bother you?
Well, I reckon mostly, you know, especially when he was still playing football, I pretty much went under the radar because I think when Jim was still playing, there wasn't such an emphasis on footballers' partners.
Right.
I reckon I was really fortunate. I just missed it, which was quite nice. So that wasn't too bad. When Jim got sick, it was that was probably the first time it was like, "Oh, you're not going to be going under the radar from this point for a little while," because of the association with Jim, because of the illness. But up until then, honestly, I just went under the radar. Yeah.